Hello, in this talk we're going to work on the harmonic analysis of My One and Only Love. And the video edition of this is on the overview and analysis member area on youtube.com channel Fred Prince. All right, so let's get going here. So we're going to get an idea of function. We'll take a look at the overall key center and all that, and probably play some chords and things, and we'll kind of get an idea of what's going on here. Let's see. I'm going to take this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, so we're in the key of C. So let's play a little bit of a 5-1 in C. So we're playing a very basic C chord here, and that can be helpful just to kind of acclimate the ear. To our key center. So let's think a little bit about what we expect and what we expect to find in this key center. So we'll draw out some of the chords and things that we'll typically find. And so when we do analysis, we generally number these chords. All right, so let's write this out and see how we go from there. All right, we have C major 7. We'll include 7s on this. D minor 7. E minor 7. F major 7. G7. A minor 7. And B minor 7 flat 5, which is also sometimes called the half diminished chord. We just number these. So uppercase Roman numeral for C, we'll get 1. Lowercase d because it's minor. So 1, 2, 3. It's also minor. 4 is major. 5 is major, dominant 7th. The 6 is minor. And the 7 is half diminished. Okay. Now we can borrow from other closely related keys. We can have root notes that are not in this group of 7 here, and we can have what are known as secondary dominants. So sometimes you might have an A7 pointing to the 2 chord, or a B7 pointing to the E minor 7. So those are just a few spots. So E7 is a secondary dominant. Secondary dominant. All right, and you could have a C7, going to F, have a D7, headed to G as well. So those are some things to just kind of look out for, and you can always you might find 2 5s in front of those as well. So let's head up to the tune here and think about the progression. All right, we have a C major 7 going to A minor 7, D minor 7 to G. So let's think about what that is in this key. So C major, that's indicated by an uppercase C. We have C is the 1, A is the 6, D is the 2, and then G is the 5. Well, let's check out a little bit of what happens here next. So we have this G7. And we get this sort of motion. So we have the C, A minor 7, D minor to G7. Right, so a lot of times we think, okay, D minor 7 to G7 is going to head to a C type chord, but it heads in a little different direction to A minor 7. So we could think about the E7 there as a 3 chord. Notice that in the list that we made, we had E minor there, and this one is a dominant 7th. So we did talk a little bit about secondary dominance, so it will fit into that category. So we can say 5 of 6, and that's the relative minor. Get the 6th chord. So that's A minor. And then we have F major. Right, so if you remember from the list, that is the 4 chord. Okay, so far we have the C major, A minor, D minor, G7, connecting to the A minor. So we get the E7 over the G sharp. That over G sharp. All right, so let's go a little further. So let's check out the sound here a little bit. So we have the D minor to G7, E minor 7 to the A7. Okay, so from the perspective of the key center, we have a 2, 5, 3, 6. Let's take a little bit of a look here at the E minor 7 to A7 though. E minor 7, that doesn't look like anything outside of our original list or diatonic chords. That just means a chord that's in the key without changing any of the notes, or in the scale without changing any of those notes. But A7, if you remember, we had a minor, right? So this puts a C sharp into this chord. So rather than that note, we get this note. So in this given moment here, we can say, okay, this is a 2-5 type of a progression. Okay, so it's, you might think of two 5s here. Okay, and then we get the 2 chord. So that A7, as we talked about earlier, that can be seen as a 5 of 2. Right? We had a 5 of 6, now we have a 5 of 2. So that gives us the 2 chord. Let's check out what comes up next here. So we have B half diminished, E7 flat 9 or sharp 9, and then A minor 7. So let's check out what's going on there. So we have, you remember the B half diminished chord, that was the 7 chord. E, if we think about the root note, okay, that was the 3. Now this is a dominant 7th chord. Okay, A is the 6. Okay, so we have a circle of fifths type of root movement, which if we're kind of headed to this note, so if we kind of keep track of that, that gives us a little clue that there might be a 2, 5, 1 type of motion. So we can say, we can call this a 2, 5, and A minor. Okay, let's see where it goes from there. We have A minor, and then we have D7. So we have that root note in the key area, but we don't have that chord quality. So we can give this an uppercase 2. And if we check this out, it does look somewhat like a 2-5 type progression, but we'll just leave it as a 6 to 2. I always think of this type of chord as something that kind of puts on the brakes for a little bit, if you will, and then you sort of get that release to back to the 2-5 minor 2, and then the dominant 7. That's what happens here. We get the minor 2, and then the 5 chord, D minor 7 to G7. And I'll mention I will be using some extensions. So when I talk about these, I'm talking about the basic chords. But I may be placing ninths and things on them. All right, so there we have the A section basically, and And then we'll have a variety of endings. Okay, so the first ending, we get a 3, 6, 2, 5, and then that's gonna bring us back to the beginning. And then if we, kind of zoom in on things, you can see have that series of 2 5s there. So we'll call this a 3, 6, 2, 5. And we can think of this as the E minor 7 to A7 as like a little embedded 2 5 there. Okay, so that goes back to the beginning. All of that repeats. And then we head to the B, the bridge section. Okay, so the second ending, 2 5, and then we get the 1, right? So that settles in on the 1 chord, and that way we can go somewhere else. Let's check that out. Let's see where it goes, and then we'll work backwards. So we heard the E minor there. That's the 3 chord, right? So the F sharp, that's sharp 4, and that's F sharp half diminished, right? And then the B is the 7, but in this case it's dominant 7. So that gives you some indication that something else is going on here. So E minor, if we think about E minor, if we were to play an E natural minor scale, it would sound like that, right? If we play the E Phrygian, which is how it naturally lays out in our tonic key, then we get this. So they both fit with the sound of the chord. So it's just some of those notes in between the chord tones that are different. They're actually just one. So we're headed to a closely related key. So we can think about it as the 3 chord, but we can also think of visiting a key of 1 sharp and the relative minor in that key. So you see we have an F sharp half diminished chord there. So in E minor, that would be a 2 5, 2 5 1 type progression. Okay, and then that continues. So we get those same chord changes for a little bit. Sharp 4 to 5 to the 1. All right, so we get that. Okay, let's see what happens next. things start to move in a little bit of a different direction here. We have this A7 that comes up. We have E minor, and then we have this A7. And so that starts to look at like a 2-5 type of progression. So you might think, okay, key of maybe 2 sharps, kind of a 2-5 motion. And then we end up with D minor. So we're going to land on D minor though. And that's the 2 chord. So let's check out how that sounds. We get this D, or E minor 7 rather, sorry, to A7. Okay, and then we get D minor. Okay, now D minor does go to the 5. But we have some chords in between. So D minor's 2, G is the 5. All right, and then we have the flat 6, dominant 7th, and then we get kind of a G7 sus sound. So we'll call that 5 suspended. So let's check out how that sounds. So we get the D minor 7, the A flat 7. I'm going to put a sharp 11 on that. And then we get the G. You can think of it as a D over G, D minor over G, or a G7 sus. And then we get the G7. Okay, and then we can go back to D minor, to G7 again, and then we can land on the C major 7. So that's the third ending. We get the 2-5, 1, and then back to the 5 chord again. Okay, and then we go back to the first A section. All right, so let's go over the form. So it's probably a little bit hard to follow as far as things go here, but let me get this out. So we have A. So let's go over the kind of the roadmap here. So we have A. 1, first ending. And then back to the A. Okay, so the second ending. We go to the C, and then we set up the E minor. And then at that point, we go back to A. Okay, and then we get to the third ending. So we just play 2, 5, 2, 1. And then we can repeat at that point. All right. Well, thanks for checking out this this talk. So this is overview and analysis. And we're looking at my one and only love here. And so did a bit of the form. So we have A, B, A, and then we talked about the harmony and how that all moves from chord to chord. All right. Well, thanks for checking this out. And I will see everyone in the next talk.